We're coming live from our studios in Belize City. This is the evening news on Love Television for Thursday, August 25th. We'll get you started with a look at the stories that are making the headlines for today. OAS report to be presented at Friday's House sitting. Prime Minister says he was confounded by some of the details in the special audit on Immigration and Nationality Department. PM Barrows says his position remains that government will not appeal Section 53 ruling. Murder tally increases as man shot and killed in Belize City and courts. Belize hands over donation to Belize Red Cross for hurricane relief efforts. The House of Representatives will meet tomorrow in Belmopan. At the sitting, it is expected that the official OAS report on the incident in which a Guatemalan miner was shot and killed in Belizean territory in April will be presented by Foreign Affairs Minister Wilfred Ellerington. Today, Prime Minister Dean Barrows said he was pleased with the results of the investigation carried out by the Organization of American States. The Prime Minister said it vindicates the Belize Defense Force and the forest rangers.
It is clearly vindication. We're very pleased. We always knew, though, that that was, in fact, the position. Still a little worrying as to how the Guatemalans will react now, because this is clear vindication for the BDF and expose the falsity of the position taken by their president, taken by their foreign minister, and taken by their officials. So I am hoping that they will be mature enough to accept that they were wrong and that the allegations they made against the BDF were utterly unjustified, and that they owe Belize an apology.
Prime Minister Barrows spoke of the possibility of the results of the investigation affecting the bilateral relations between Belize and Guatemala.
I hope that the Guatemalans will be mature enough, Guatemalan officials, to accept that they went off half-cocked, that they were very clearly wrong, that they horribly overreacted to a premise that they set up, which proved to be utterly invalid, and that they will try to move forward with us from this. But it remains to be seen exactly how they will treat this report, which really does expose, as I said, the falsity of their position.
The Auditor General's special audit on the Immigration and Nationality Department will also be presented at tomorrow's House meeting. Prime Minister Dean Barrows stated that the findings compromising some ministers who gave recommendations to people to access official Belizean documents is a concern.
I've got it, maybe a month or so ago. This is the first House meeting where I've had a chance to indicate that the report will be laid on the table. In going over it, I was confounded by the details of what we knew long ago was happening. Remember, this was 2012, 2013, and one of the reasons for the commissioning of the audit was because there had been revelations of the goings-on. But still, when you get into the details, it does paint a sorry picture.
The Prime Minister said, having known about the issues going on at the department, measures were taken to reduce these happenings.
Because we did know what had been happening, we tried to put in place improvements, new systems, new personnel. In terms of visas, for example, visas can only now be approved after the visa vetting committee would have screened all the applications. Similarly, for nationality certificates, the minister can't sign except a committee has approved, that has pronounced that everything is in order. So my comfort is that since all that was taking place, and since we put into position these new structures, we haven't heard of this sort of thing happening.
However, Prime Minister Barrow said the findings only show ministers giving recommendations and not engaging in any complicit corruption.
From what I saw of the report, while there are conclusions that in some cases seem inescapable, the report can't and doesn't actually say Minister A is guilty of corruption, Minister B is guilty of corruption, Public Officer A is guilty of corruption, Public Officer B is guilty of corruption. Take the case of ministers. They're writing recommendation letters. At one point there was a suggestion that that was improper. I don't see how that can be improper. When a minister writes a recommendation, the department is by no means bound to accept that recommendation. Ministers have constituents. Constituents come to them all the time to write letters of various sorts. They want to go in for a visa, they ask for a recommendation. They want a job, they ask for a recommendation. So just the writing of the recommendation letters by itself clearly is no evidence of corruption. No. Some of the circumstances in which the letters were written beg the question, were ministers serious about checking out the people they were writing recommendations for? Did they examine the circumstances? Did they try to ensure that the information they were given was accurate? And clearly, in very many instances, the answers to those questions are no, no, and no.
One of the demands made in the press release sent by the Alliance of Churches and other interested groups was that the government immediately signed on to the United Nations Anti-Corruption Act. Prime Minister Barrow spoke about the issue, stating that signing on to the Anti-Corruption Act would create duplication in the work that the other departments are already doing.
People don't understand what's involved, and I'll have something to say about that tomorrow. We've signed on to the Inter-American Anti-Corruption Convention. The FIU is being strengthened as a consequence of all sorts of things, including wanting to show the international community that we're serious about anti-money laundering and anti-corruption. We have invited the U.S. Treasury to come and give training to our FIU personnel so that U.S. Treasury officials will be embedded in the FIU. That FIU staff is in excess of 20. We've given them additional resources. If we sign that UN Anti-Corruption Convention, it's not just a matter of signing it. You then have to set up another entity, which we can ill afford. You have to staff that entity. You have to give them resources. We are concentrating on strengthening, in particular, the FIU. And you know what the body that we would have to set up, that you're obliged to set up once you sign the convention, would do? Exactly what the FIU is doing. So we're going to be duplicating efforts. We're going to be saddling ourselves with expenses. And you know what? When we looked at it, I was all prepared to sign that thing at the start of 2016, and we had the Solicitor General's office give an opinion, and that's when it was pointed out, look, you can't just sign. There are all these obligations that follow upon signing, and they made the point.
Prime Minister Barrow stated that Belize would have to endure an additional expense by signing up to the United Nations Anti-Corruption Convention, and Belize cannot afford it. This week, branches of the Belize National Teachers Union have been conducting meetings to discuss the proposed delay of salary adjustments by the government. In a meeting in the Benke branch yesterday, the majority of teachers voiced discontent and said they are ready to take action. Prime Minister Barrow commented.
I met with the leaders of the unions, including the president and other officials of the BNTU, and I've explained to them exactly how much damage the hurricane did, at least up to that point when we met. The reports as to additional losses have continued to come in. Tomorrow at the House, we hope to detail those reports. Losses are well in excess of 100 million. I think they're in the region of something like 200 million. Just what the government has to spend out of pocket to replace people's homes or for repairs or for the household items or for the food packages, well in excess of $15 million. The salary increase was going to run about $13 to $14 million. In the circumstances, to ask them merely to defer getting the salary increase until next year after we've been able to recover strikes me as extremely reasonable. There is no other basis on which the request is made. I hear them talking about, but it seems that in any event there was going to be trouble down the road. Look, clearly there would, hurricane or no hurricane, have been need for some belt tightening, but that would not have stopped the payment of the salary increases this month. They shook hands with the financial secretary on the amount to be paid. I think perhaps the Monday, the hurricane came the Thursday. That is the sole reason why we're saying to them, everybody has taken a hit. Everybody has to make sacrifices. For God's sake, you are teachers. Can we not ask you to do the same?
An alliance of churches and other groups sent a press release yesterday making strong demands from the government, especially on the issue of appealing the Section 53 ruling. Prime Minister Dean Barrows stated that the government will not change its position.
The Chief Justice's ruling does not open the door to same-sex marriage or anything of that sort. In those circumstances, we regret that we have to part ways so fundamentally with the churches, and we regret the misunderstanding that causes the teachers' union, for example. They did frame their position carefully in terms of saying they would want to be sure that the government takes on board certain considerations. But as I said, they fundamentally misunderstand what has really happened. But in all the circumstances, we are satisfied that we should not appeal. We keep saying the churches can at least approach the court to apply for them to be able to appeal. Don't. Why is it that there is the insistence that government must appeal when we have taken advice and we're convinced that an appeal makes no sense? But they can disagree, so vindicate their position by going to the courts and asking for an appeal. So we won't change.
PM Barrows stated that appealing the ruling does not fall on the government alone. The churches are free to approach the court and ask for them to be granted permission to appeal.
The Chief Justice's ruling does not open the door to same-sex marriage or anything of that sort. In those circumstances, we regret that we have to part ways so fundamentally with the churches, and we regret the misunderstanding that causes the teachers' union, for example. They did frame their position carefully in terms of saying they would want to be sure that the government takes on board certain considerations. But as I said, they fundamentally misunderstand what has really happened. But in all the circumstances, we are satisfied that we should not appeal. We keep saying the churches can at least approach the court to apply for them to be able to appeal. Don't. Why is it that there is the insistence that government must appeal when we have taken advice and we're convinced that an appeal makes no sense? But they can disagree, so vindicate their position by going to the courts and asking for an appeal. So we won't change.
Prime Minister Barrows stated that there is very little chance of winning an appeal on Section 53. Independence Police have not issued an official report, nor have we been able to get in touch with the officer in charge, Inspector Raimundo Reyes, to confirm that a 9-month-old baby was kidnapped this morning in Bella Vista Village. However, a Facebook post surfaced today indicating that that was the case. Correspondent Harry Arzu reports.
A 9-month-old baby boy from Bella Vista Village in the Toledo district is still missing, according to his mother, after he was kidnapped from their home. The family at this time is very traumatized and is seeking the help of the public. According to reports, two men, one dressed up in black clothing and another, described as a tall, dark-skinned male person, entered the family home and demanded some $50,000 while pointing a gun at the mother of the child. The family did not come up with the money and the child was taken at gunpoint. Not much details are available at this time, but police are investigating this dramatic incident. Reporting for Love News from Dangriga, I'm Harry Arzu.
This week we reported on the disappearance of Darren Lazama, who has been missing since last week Friday. His family is still trying to find him and have received no leads to know his whereabouts. Love News spoke with Lazama's father, Eduardo Lazama, and he told us the Belize Coast Guard has been assisting in the search. As we reported, Darren Lazama was making a delivery to Lighthouse Key. It's a lodge, but he never arrived at his destination. His employer called the family to ask about his whereabouts, and that is when they found out that he was missing. Neither Lazama nor the vessel he was traveling in, a white skiff, tight line, have been found. Lazama says that Darren has been working in that area for 8 months, and so his disappearance is out of the ordinary. The family has filed a missing persons report at the Raccoon Street Police Station. Darren Lazama was last seen shirtless, wearing an orange, white, and gray camouflaged knee-high pants. He is described as brown-skinned and stands about 5 feet 8 inches tall. Lazama's family and co-workers are also conducting their own search. Lazama is the father of an 8-month-old daughter, and the public is asked to report any leads on Darren Lazama's whereabouts to telephone numbers 669-4244 or 202-0090 or contact your nearest police station. A man was found dead in his vehicle last night by the police. Doyle Garbutt was inside a parked van on Balam Street in the St. Martin's de Porres area. This morning, Senior Superintendent Alden Dawson spoke about what the investigation has revealed so far.
On Wednesday, the 24th of August, sometime around 10 p.m., police was called to a shooting at the corner of Balan and Gile Street. Upon their arrival at that location, they saw a white van partially in the drain at the corner of the said street. Check out the inside the van led to the discovery of a motionless body of Doyle Garbutt, 29-year-old Belizean of a Dolphin Drive address, with what appeared to be a single gunshot to the right temple. The body was taken from the vehicle and transported to the KHMH morgue, where an investigation had since commenced. Nothing to say that he is affiliated with any gang at this time. And like I said, we are investigating the matter, but he is not a regular person with us. No motive at this time. We have found one expended shell on the scene, and no motive at this time. The scene does not have anything to indicate or reveal that there was any shooting between two persons. One shot to the temple and one expended shell found.
The expended shell found belonged to a 9mm gun. Police are currently interviewing Garbutt's family and friends to find out who might have wanted to hurt him. The Belize Red Cross today received a $25,000 donation from Quartz Belize Limited. Handing over the check was Karen Castellanos, marketing manager at Unicommer.
As we see, a lot of our community and our people were affected with Hurricane Earl that happened in August 3rd, and it deeply affected many of the families, both of our staff and our community. And definitely want to give back. It's not slowing down. We know they're still doing assessments, and we see that there is a need to help out these families. And we decided to go with the Red Cross. You know, they have been on the grounds. I know they have other organizations, but they're the ones going on the grounds that we feel, they're confident to be giving out to these 50 families. They will be receiving $500 gift voucher from Quartz.
Lily Bowman, executive director of the Belize Red Cross, was on hand to receive this check. She said the organization is pleased to receive the donation to assist in carrying out ongoing relief efforts.
When Quartz called, be a part of the response for the people of Belize who have been affected by Hurricane Earl. Of course, the Red Cross is always very happy when we hear that members of the community, especially business houses, are contributing, because it means that we reach so many more families that have been affected. The specific donation is in the form of gift certificates, so that they can replace some of their household essentials. that they have lost in the hurricane. So we feel very, very happy to be taking this out to those people. As we can see as we go about our work, we can see that sigh of relief that they are getting some assistance and that people do care.
The brief ceremony took place at court's main office on the Philip Goldson Highway. A woman was injured in a home invasion in Camalote Village. Correspondent Fem Cruz has the details.
A home invasion in the village of Camalote has left a well-known businesswoman injured. According to the victim, Savannah Patnett, on Thursday morning, August 25, she was inside her room sleeping. When sometime around 2:30 that same morning, she was awoken by a noise coming from inside the house. The victim explained more.
Around 2:30 on Thursday morning, I was asleep and I was awoken by some footsteps in the house, and I usually sleep with a machete at my head. I felt for it, it wasn't there, and by the time I was getting up, I'm not too certain if I was the one who on the light or the guys. Anyways, three of them was in front of me. The first one who had the gun, he hit me in my face with the gun and I fell back on the bed. And while on the bed, we had a struggle. He was hitting me in my face because I was screaming for my dad. And the other guy, he was punching me in my face and he told me to shut the F up or he will shoot me. So I said I was going to submit, but that minute the thought of my son came in my head and I said, you know what? I told him I'm going to fight this. If you will kill me, then you will kill me, but it won't be an easy battle. And I fought them and they were tying my foot up with my InStyler curling iron cord. And the other guy is punching me, the other one going butting me in my face with the gun. And he lifted up his hand and I got hold of his hand with the gun and he told the other two guys, why Toki or Taki, a name like that, she have the gun. And the other two guys run left him and he jump off of me and he run out the back door.
Ma'am, tell us what all were stolen.
Okay, my son gold chain with a cross was stolen, his bracelet, his 2 rings, my 4 gold rings, female gold rings. I lost a pair of gold bangles, my gold earring with my name, another small one with twirls, my chain with my name, another chain with a cross, 2 bracelets, a love bracelet and a XO bracelet, a white Toshiba laptop, a Apple tablet, and a Jordan zippers, and my purse with all my documents and everything, my money, bank card, everything went.
Ma'am, how can the public assist you in at least trying to get back some of those stolen items or bring those perpetrators to justice?
Well, if anyone see anyone selling any of those items, I would like them to contact the nearest police station. I will give a reward, surely will give a reward for any clue I could get, even if it's a piece. From there we could start. From one piece we could trail it to the person who stole it and sold it.
This is Brother Fem Cruz reporting from the beautiful village of Camalote for Love FM.
39 students from the Toledo district received scholarship assistance in their quest to pursue secondary school education. Correspondent Paul Mahong reports.
The Scholarship Assistance Program is an annual initiative of the Toledo Institute for Development and Environment, as explained by TIDE's Operation Manager Stephanie Sopal.
The TIDE Scholarship Program began in the year 2001, and from since then we've actually assisted 196 students with their high school books or tuition and fees. This year, currently, we have 39 students for the year 2016-2017. And we also want to mention that last year, the students that we had, out of all of them, 10 graduated. TIDE offers full and partial scholarships to these high school students. Currently, these students are funded by the German corporation KfW Fund, Mass Audubon, and James Lord. The high schools that they attend are several. They include Julian-Cho Technical High School, Toledo Community College, Providence High School, Independence High School, Georgetown Technical High School, and Wesley College. All these students are from the different communities within the Toledo district. They are the communities that TIDE works with. They include Punta Gorda Town, Forest Home, Elridgeville, Monkey River, Punta Negra, Big Falls Village, Bayla Vista, San Marcos, Golden Stream, San Miguel, Bladen, and San Antonio Village. So there's a whole array of students that we assist for the current year, 2016-2017. As a requirement of the scholarship program, all of these students have to do a 60-hour community service, and the whole idea of this is to promote volunteerism. We know that this is very important in them getting a job later on. So we definitely want to work not only on assisting them financially, but also to build their capacity. With this, again, we want to thank the donors, and we wish the students the best in this school year, and we look forward to all of them being promoted.
Stephanie Sapol also met with parents as well as the scholarship recipients who were reminded of expectations regarding academic achievement, conduct, and meaningful community service. Reporting for Love News, Paul Mahone, Punta Gorda.
The Belize Defense Force is currently working on a strategy that will see legal unit fully developed and functional under their umbrella. It is the brainchild of the current commander, David Jones, and one that he says he is passionate to see come to full fruition.
We've initiated paralegal courses because as part of a plan that I had from 2 years ago, we'd like to have our own legal department. We've had a lawyer being trained for a few years. He's completed his training. He has been accepted to the bar, and he's now my legal advisor. So we have a lawyer in the BDF, and now we're forming a legal team. So we're getting people trained in paralegal that they can be part of his team. So if there's need for advice to myself as a commander or to any soldier who has been involved in any incident that will require legal service in the civilian community, we can provide that service for him cheaper than what he would have to pay for a lawyer outside. So we've got our own lawyer that can now provide that service to our own soldier.
Okay, and these courses take place right here on base?
These courses are being run right here in Price Barracks. Our lawyer is one of the senior instructors, and we've also got experts from the U.S. military who have legal background who come to join us and provide instruction also on these courses to assist us in formulating our legal team.
For the first time in the history of the Belize Defense Force, a serving officer was called to the bar on December 22, 2015. Lieutenant Lionel Oliveira told the media on that day of being called that, quote, "We could do more for our soldiers who want to study law, just like we've done for doctors or pilots. This is a similar thing that we could do for our soldiers," end of quote. We have told you of the damages sustained at Price Barracks during Hurricane Earl on August 4, 2016. Several structures lost their roofs, including homes and the storeroom. In the storeroom, there were military equipment, uniforms, and other valuable items. While BDF commander says they are making independent efforts to get materials to rebuild, the recently installed CEO for the Ministry of Defense, Felix Enriquez, says the ministry is addressing the matter.
I wasn't at the meeting last week, the national security meeting, because I only took over on Monday, 2 days ago. But I know that the Prime Minister gave some instruction to do some of the repairs immediately, the ones that are critical. General Droles will have a better idea of what needs to get done. But I know that it's being addressed, and it has to be addressed very quickly.
Commander David Jones has estimated the losses at just over $1 million. One of the most common criticisms made by many is that law enforcement officers are not being well taken care of or looked after as it relates to benefit packages. In speaking with the commander of the Belize Defense Force, Love News learned that one of the initiatives being undertaken includes a housing program with the aim of having them own their own home by the time they retire. He explained further.
There is an initiative that was started with the then Ministry of National Security, looking at how the public service and security services, in particular the BDF, the Coast Guard, and the police, could acquire their homes on a loan basis with very limited interest that they need to pay back. So DFC is being approached as well as the National Bank, and we've had some soldiers who have signed up as well as members of the Coast Guard and the police, and we will wait now under the new Ministry of Defense what will be the way forward. But it's an initiative, it's an excellent initiative, so that soldiers in their early stages of their career, they can acquire their own homes, so that things will be much better for them. By the time they retire, it will be excellent if they all have their own homes.
Dozens of officers have benefited so far from this program. 22-year-old Boris Belisle, an assistant chef and a student at IG Vet, was very fortunate when he appeared today before Magistrate Carlin Mendoza and pled guilty to kept ammunition without a gun license. Instead of a sentence of 5 years, Magistrate Mendoza fined Belisle $500 and gave him until December 30 to pay. If he defaults on payment, he will serve 5 months. Belisle explained that yesterday morning, while he was returning home from a Chinese, he found a 12-gauge cartridge on the ground. He said he told the 2 police officers who searched him and found the cartridge that he found it and his intention was to hand it in to the police, but he did not have a cellular phone and he did not get a chance to do so. He said he has 2 daughters and a baby on the way and he was the sole breadwinner for his family. Magistrate Mendoza believed him and invoked the amendment to the Firearm Act and imposed a fine instead of a custodial sentence. The Gang Resistant Education and Training GREAT program graduated its 4th class this year. The program is sponsored by the United States, where it is also implemented. Ambassador Carlos Moreno stated that the role of the police officers have evolved to include mentorship in the community.
Law enforcement today, and as was said by others here today, is much more than just arresting and taking people to jail. Many times officers are the first responders, the first ones on the scene. They are many times acting as social workers, really, to resolve conflicts in the community, not just with youth, but just domestic violence situations, and trying to resolve those without getting involved in the justice system. So this is a key component to what's known as community policing, kind of a different approach towards law enforcement. So it's something that we think works in communities like Belize, and we're very happy to support it.
Ambassador Moreno spoke about what the officers teach the children when they go into their classes. The program's curriculum has extended to include extracurricular activities such as environmental education and photography.
And over the past 4 years, we've had over 11,000 young people participate in the program. They're taught conflict resolution, how to solve conflict without violence, essentially. And the officers also act as mentors to those kids. The embassy also engages those youth in other activities like ocean and river cleanup projects. And also we just sponsored a photography workshop with a internationally renowned photographer, Tony Rath, who lives here in Belize for many years. And we'll be having an exhibit of photographs taken by the youth in November at Garifuna Settlement Day. So it's a great program. It's just one of the many programs we do to help support the Belize Police Department in various activities.
175 police officers have graduated from the GREAT program so far, and over 11,000 children have been reached by the program. Our thought conditioner for today is from Theodore Roosevelt. It reads, quote, "Be practical as well as generous in your ideals. Keep your eyes on the stars, but remember to keep your feet on the ground." End of quote. This has been the Evening News on Love Television, and we invite you to log on to our website at www.lovefm.com for transcripts of our news stories. Thank you for joining us. Have a safe and enjoyable evening. I am Taryn Butcher.